Hey YouTube, here with my dad. We're gonna see if we can get this OC-6 going. I had to put a hat on because he said I don't look good without a hat.
I said you look better with a hat.
Huh?
I said you look better with a hat.
That means I'm ugly without one.
I did not say that.
So we're gonna see what it's gonna take to get this going. I don't think it's gonna take much. You just gotta put a battery in it and see if it'll go. Alright, so a lot of times what we do is we use one battery for several tractors. We call it a community battery. So we're moving the same couple batteries around to different things. And a lot of times you don't know if it's positive or negative ground. So what I do to tell is, usually if it's got an alternator, and an internally regulated alternator, it'll be negative. If it's got a generator, well, most likely is good chance it's positive. But a lot of times what I do is I'll look to see which wire goes from the distributor to the coil and which one it is. So it's this black one. So it is positive ground. Also, the terminals on the battery will tell you too, because one's bigger than the other. I think the positive's bigger, right?
Yeah.
Than a negative. So
It's positive, growing.
if they're spread out, then you'll know.
Is it a generator?
Yep, should be positive.
Flip her around. The cables reach better too then.
Yeah, if it fits just right, then it's probably right.
I think you're right.
That's usually what I do to tell, is I look at what wire goes from here to here.
Okay, now we're gonna turn the gas on. Can you get that? It's on your side.
I can do it.
Is the bowl filling up?
Yeah. This crawler would look a lot better with a hat, don't you think?
Yes, it would. You can let me live that down, are you?
So the oil's good and the coolant is good.
Yep. I topped everything off.
It might not be much to look at, but now let's talk about the crawler.
This is the high clearance model. It is.
Whoa! Alright, Dad, what can you tell me about this thing? Where did we get it from?
Well, YouTubers, we found this at Dirksen Implement years ago. I was sitting there for sale.
Where is he at?
He's from Waupun, Wisconsin. It was sitting on his lot. We checked it out. And beautiful it isn't, but functional it is.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And it's a high clearance model. It's got an Oliver 77 engine in it. And from there back it's 88. Turned into a crawler. And they are very good machines.
So OC-6, what does that stand for?
OC is Oliver Crawler, and 6 meant it was the Model 6, and it also had a 6-cylinder. Because they had an OC3, OC4, OC-46, and OC-6. And there's Buddy Rabbit.
Oh yeah. He came out from under the bush hog when we were hooking it up.
One of my bunny rabbits.
You're not very scared, are you? Not a tame rabbit either. So this thing was very much like a Fleetline with having the 77 engine. If you look back, well, you can see that this looks very similar. Hydraulic pump. PTO is the same. You know, different seat. So they borrowed a lot of parts from the wheel tractors.
And if you look at the pads, they got extra holes in them. And what people would do, they would take pieces of wood and they would bolt them to there, and they would go and do muck farming. And they could go in the muck where a person can't stand, and they would go in there with these and harvest it. And they'd have these, I call them cleats, that might not be the right word, but you bolt these to the track all the way around, and they don't leave hardly a footprint at all.
Cool.
And without them, you would not go in the muck fields.
Nope.
But you could have a 2x6 would probably fit in there. And you bolt them through these holes here, and then you can go where no man has dared to go before.
Yeah, and I think I'll do a separate video on the history of the OC-6 and more of its options. I mean, you get different tracks, different widths of the spacing between the tracks and the width of the track.
Now this is the wide track model.
Okay.
And this machine here is a gas model. You could also get it with a 6-cylinder diesel, and then it'd be more efficient yet. And all kinds of power.
Didn't they have a diesel one at the auction that we were at? And we seen this coming back from the auction.
Right.
Didn't they have a diesel one at that auction?
Yes. And we know who bought it.
A local guy around here bought it.
In a few years. And then one of his buddies talked him out of it. And he left before he sold it. And he had the high cleats on here, which made it almost unstoppable.
I can't imagine a diesel one's very easy to find, because any of them aren't easy to find anymore.
When you get too much rain, and he lived kind of in a marshy area, it did not matter. He could go pick corn, he could do anything because of those tall cleats. It was unstoppable. So you do what you got to do when you got to get your crop off. You have to be very careful loading and unloading these things, because if you put a steel track on a steel ramp, a lot of things could happen and none of them good.
Didn't your dad want us to buy this?
Yes, he was with me that time. but we had just come from an auction and we were broke. And he saw that and he says, "You guys got to get that." I said, "We can't. We got no money." He says, "Well, sell me one of your tractors and then you buy this, and then later on you can buy that tractor back from me."
Yeah, how did that go?
Not very good.
Why is that?
Because before we had the money saved up to buy the tractor back, he sold it to my brother. We had put new tires on the front. It's like, hey, that wasn't the deal. But he was not a very patient man.
Patience of a suicide bomber, huh?
Yeah. And he also was the Oliver dealer in the county here in the 60s. That's why we have one of our Olivers. We like them.
And that's that. Little bush hogging with the OC-6.